Hello, friends. It is always good to be back here with you. I have especially been enjoying sharing with you things that I've been learning out of the 23rd Psalm. I hope some of these things have been helpful for you as well. Uh, and just on a personal note, I don't I don't really know how many of you are ever watching. I don't uh, keep close track of these things. I think we did early in the shutdown, but anymore, this is just something that I do, and I know there are a whole lot of you out there that are taking this in, and uh, I wish I could talk with you personally. I wish I knew some of your stories, what kind of ears you are listening with, because of what your personal life is looking like these days. But really can't. So trust me when I say I think of you, I prepare with you in mind, even though I don't know the details of what you are going through. And it's my prayer that God is still continuing to pursue after you, and that you are walking with Him, and you are experiencing His grace and His love and His mercy. And that's really what today's message is all about. We are fast approaching the end of the 23rd Psalm. This is where we are at now. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me along paths of righteousness for His name's sake. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And now we have reached verse 6 in the 23rd Psalm, and it is these familiar words. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. As the shepherd David comes to the end of this amazing song, I think his conclusion is more than obvious. There is this incredible life that follows a sheep that is led by a good shepherd. That sheep gets nourishment and health and safety. When they fall, they are lifted up. When they are hurt, they are brought to healing. When they are out of energy and at the end of their rope, it says that they are restored. There is community. There are no wants. There is protection. The list could go on and on. And then we get to this line in the 23rd Psalm that says, goodness and mercy, or loving kindness, pursue these sheep everywhere they go, because the shepherd is there leading and guiding and nourishing them and providing for their entire lives. The word follow in this verse, it can be a much stronger word. In some dictionaries, it says that the word follow here means to pursue relentlessly. I'll be honest, I'm not sure if that's exactly what it means. If we were to go back into the time that David was writing. But I think it helps us see the breadth of the concept of what is going on here. Just like the shepherd and the sheep of this psalm, our shepherd, Jesus, pursues after us. He never gives up. He's always there, always chasing us down, as it were, to find us and lead us and protect us and to restore us. There's a parable that Jesus tells in the 15th chapter of the book of Luke. In the beginning of that parable, he says this: "Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Does he not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it?" I know that parable has been used to justify the idea that we are to go out and look for lost people. And I don't deny that that is a message of this parable. But I don't want you to miss the personal nature of it, especially as we consider our lives as sheep underneath the guiding hand of our good shepherd. "Surely goodness and mercy will chase me down all the days of my life." I got to tell you, maybe the best thing that you and I can do, it might be to slow down a little and let the pursuit catch up. Poured into our human nature from the very beginning of creation, I believe, is the desire and the pull to run and hide. We see it just vividly in the story of Adam and Eve in the beginning of the book of Genesis, that they disobeyed God and then hid away from him, hoping that he would pass by and not see them. Our nature is to do the very same thing. We have that kind of in our genetics, in our spiritual DNA. Now, I recognize that there are usually obvious and pretty straightforward lessons to be found in the Bible, and I think this is one of those. There's no need to complicate it. The shepherd is pursuing us with his love, with his goodness. Seems like that's one of those straightforward lessons. But I can't seem to shake that there is another side of this same story. And I really want you to see something that I've seen in it. And maybe it'll help a little. I know the meaning of the word follow. The popular image of the word follow, especially here in this psalm, is to pursue or to chase or even to hunt down something, to follow after them. The shepherd goes after the wandering sheep, looking for them. But I have a second image that I'm kind of stuck with. And that's this: wherever I go and whatever I do, think about this. I am leaving something behind. Something is following me in my wake. Now, I don't know if you have much of a history or any experience in driving boats or being pulled along behind a boat. But one of the most crucial things for water skiers or tubers who are being pulled behind a boat is the wake that is being left as the boat kind of cuts through the water. The engine is in the back of the boat and it splits the water and pushes it to the side. And this wave that is created by the boat is just follows after the boat. Even so much so that in most every lake I have ever been on in a boat, there's a thing that's called a no wake zone, where boaters know that it's literally illegal to go so fast in that area that it creates a wake. So you have to slow down and back way off on the throttle to just make it so that the boat is kind of gliding through and there is not much movement of the water behind the boat. There is no wake behind it. I want you to think about that wake for just a second. Although sheep can be destructive, they can ravage the land, they can wear trails and ruts, they can cause huge problems. They eat everything, they waste things, they destroy things, especially those that are wandering away from the care of the shepherd. In spite of that, well-managed sheep, like sheep who follow the lead of the shepherd, sheep who do what they are told, good sheep can actually restore the land. The way that they come in and feed off of the land leaves it ready to grow even more. Good, healthy sheep can provide a long and lasting benefit to the land and the owner of the land. In other words, good things are left behind, or if we use the terminology of the 23rd Psalm, good things follow behind good sheep. And just like sheep, goodness and love are to follow behind us as we live out our lives. Let me ask these questions. Do goodness and love follow you? Like follow behind you because you are leaving a wake of goodness and love? Do you leave behind a blessing, or do you leave behind a trail of sadness? Is your life a pleasure to people? Or is it a pain in the you-know-what? Do you bring peace to situations? Are you that guy that stirs up conflict everywhere you go? Are you critical? Or are you the ointment that restores people back to health simply because you have come into their presence? Do people feel refreshed after you? Or after you have been around, or do they breathe a sigh of relief when you finally leave? Do people want you to be there? Is something missing when you are not present? Are they just glad when you don't show up? Is your memory, like the memory of you, in the minds of other people, woven with goodness and love? Or would they rather forget you? Look, those are harsh questions. Harsh questions. One of my favorite authors is Philip Keller. I want you to read these words that he wrote years ago. The only practical measure of my appreciation for the goodness and mercy of God to me is the extent to which I am, in turn, prepared to show goodness and mercy to others. Goodness is not given to us simply for goodness' sake. It's given to us so that we'll pass it on. In Genesis, God said to Abram, because I have blessed you, you go and bless others. In the Gospel of John, Jesus said to his disciples, because I have loved you, you go and love each other. In Romans, Paul wrote, because I have accepted you, accept one another. In Ephesians, the letter to the Ephesians, Paul taught that Jesus said, because I have forgiven you, forgive one another. And even in the book of Matthew, in the very words of Jesus that Matthew records, Because I have had mercy on you, have mercy on others. Truth is a pretty simple lesson. Also, truth, sometimes it's pretty difficult to live out. A trail of goodness and love will follow herds of sheep that follow the lead of good shepherds. But when sheep wander off and are left to their own devices, that wake that sheep leave behind them can be pretty ugly. You got a choice. This has always been God's plan. We are his disciples, and he pours out his grace and mercy and love on us. And then we follow his example. This plan was even buried in the drama of the Last Supper, the night before Jesus was to be crucified. After Jesus and the 12 had shared the meal, and after the bread and juice of communion had been passed out and they had shared that with each other, Jesus said some stuff to them that we sometimes overlook. There's one line in this that I want us to remember now as we come around the table of communion. He said this to them: "You are those who have stood by me in my trials, and I confer on you a kingdom, just as my Father conferred one on me, so that you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom." The same promise of the kingdom is ours. The same command to pass on the kingdom to others is likewise ours. I want you to remember that today as you eat the bread and drink the juice of the Lord's Supper again this week. Surely goodness and mercy is following all of us. Till next time, see you.
Your love is like radiant diamonds bursting inside us, we cannot contain. Your love will surely come find us like blazing wildfire, singing your name. God of mercy,